Barcelona is 9-hour difference from here. So it's about 6:30 p.m. or where you are. And Jordi Roca, thank you for being our guest on Global TV Talk Show.
It's
and this
pleasure.
is our first time. I've been following you on LinkedIn, and so this is great. So your company is called GD Mobility, and basically, now please correct me and enlarge on what I'm about to say, but you're a specialist in legal and accounting, tax, and you've been you've given yourself a focus for years to better serve corporate clients and people who are international workers. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Basically, we've been assistant for 20 years, companies moving employees on an international basis and providing them legal advisory and compliance in terms of immigration, taxation, and social security.
Okay, this is really interesting and very, very timely. We're going to come back to this in just a minute, but you're a founding member of this group. I have to read this because I don't want to make a mistake. You're a founding member of the first European Alliance for Posted Workers. In other words, these are corporate engendered moves, not voluntary moves, right?
Correct. This is the Posted Workers Directive is legislation that applies. It's applied by each country. Each country is developing its own national legislation based on this European directive, and it covers what are the legal obligations and aspects to bear in mind when posting workers from one country to the other. And the employees will be seconded temporarily to another EU country to provide with a service to the client, to the final client. And in most of the cases, those employees will maintain the work contract and the social security legislation in the home country. And so this directive is indicating what aspects needs to be complied in terms of salary, in terms of minimal condition of works. Now, this requires from us and this is why Posted Worker Alliance was created, that we coordinate experts on labor law and on an international mobility basis to coordinate the services, so we make sure our clients are compliant with law in those legislations that we are not that familiar with. And a Posted Workers Alliance, this is what we aim. We have a member in each country of the European Union. So we make sure that whatever our clients are seconded employees to, we are advising them and we are correctly guiding them.
Oh, I'm going to read this. Once again, this is the EU Posted Worker Alliance, the first alliance of its kind, providing the best European services and intelligence and risk mitigation. I think we'll underline risk mitigation, because you know what the risks and the penalties will be for your clients and people, and you bring that to their attention, whether they're want to learn it or not. It's your job to tell them about it. So I'm reading this about the vision of your organization. Once again, EU Posted Worker Alliance is multinational. The posting of workers is a political, touchy, and risky subject. Your organization, your alliance, wants to be able to help clients understand and respect their obligations and risks in a way that is simple, efficient, and compliant with every local law. And you guys are convinced that it's possible to deal with posted workers while respecting all the parties' obligations, local laws. And here's a phrase that I want you to go deep on with me now: fight against social dumping. So what does that mean? That social dumping means, well, they have to comply with some kind of regulation of types of people, and so they put them on assignment somewhere, but they're not prepared.
Well, that's a very interesting concept. Again, in the background of the European Union is a wonderful project that tries to make all nationals of the European equals and give access to the European market to all members of the European Union. And that means that any company has the possibility to operate at any country of the European Union. But what the politicians intend and what the legislation intends is that this is not taken advantage by the company in order to reduce salaries or to reduce working conditions for their employees. And so when we talk about the social or the labor dumping or social dumping, we are talking about is that employees working in one country must receive equal treatment and equal rights as any other employee in that country. And so no employees from countries with, let's say, lower salaries, etc., can be moved with the only purpose of reducing costs. This is what the directive, the Posted Worker Directive, is about. And in order to make that, it creates some certain obligations for the companies in terms of communicating the mobility of the employees and making sure that the working conditions match with those from that country, etc. And this is what we are all about at the Posted Worker Alliance. We try to educate our clients and guide them on their obligations so they don't have to face any penalties and they can continue with their activity compliant with the law.
So out there, audience, we have a global audience based upon Google Analytics. A little over 60% are US, Canada, about 20% Europe, which is a vast area, including Russia, and about 2% Dubai, Israel, Middle East, Jordan, Egypt, Saudi, and around 9 or 10%, it varies day to day, but across Asia Pacific, primarily Hong Kong, Shanghai, Singapore, with Tokyo is fastest growing market for us, and Australia, of course, Sydney, Melbourne. PostedWorkerAlliance.eu. Go and check it out. And Jordi, what is your email or website so people can find you directly before we continue on?
Yeah, gdglobalmobility.com. They will find me there. And it's a website. All the services related and all initiatives and very interesting posts that we weekly published covering all the areas of international taxation, immigration, etc.
How many members do you have? Partners, founding partners?
At the Posted Worker Alliance, we are 10 funding partners. Those are the friends, let's say, that we initiated this project. And we are adding members from each country of the European Union. The idea is to have one expert, one partner who's proved himself or herself to know very well, to be very versed in the subject of posted workers, and that's the idea. And we are growing. This is a work in progress.
So you have what members? Let's name the countries: Greece,
Greece,
France,
Spain, Portugal,
Italy.
France, Italy, Switzerland, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, Czech Republic, Slovenia, Croatia, Latvia, Poland, Hungary, almost all of the European countries. And I believe we'll be covering the whole of the European Union by the end of the year.
So Shenzhen, it sort of mirrors the Shenzhen region, only it's bigger.
Say it again.
Shenzhen, if I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, so they're changing some of the rules, aren't they?
Yeah.
Did you want to get into that a little bit here?
Hold on a second, if we can stop one moment.
Okay.
So, sorry, I don't understand what you're saying, Jen. What is that about?
Yeah, Shenzhen, the countries within the EU that have an alliance.
Oh, sorry, same thing. Okay, sorry about that. Okay,
how should I pronounce it?
Well, we pronounce it Schengen countries.
Yeah,
sorry about
my
that.
California accent.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
So, and they're changing the rules, right? They're tightening up, doing some things.
Correct. Basically, countries are putting more effort in controlling the arrival of foreign employees from the European Union and from outside of the European Union. And, they're screening better the activities of the companies.
Got it. Okay, so now we're going to get into, for the next few minutes, a definition. So international teleworkers, digital nomad visas, things are different, but they all have to comply with the tax and the legal, right?
Correct. That's something that is growing exponentially over the past 2 years, when we all realized that we could work from home or we could work from wherever we wanted. But sometimes companies or corporations are not aware of the legal implications they might have when they have an employee working from a different country. Sometimes they don't put enough attention. And the truth is that typically an employee is linked to the national legislation from the country where the employee is working from. And this is dragging the employer and this is dragging the working relationship to that legislation, which means that a company is having an employee teleworking from a different country will have to be and comply with the legislation of that country. And sometimes that is not taken into account properly. And that's on labor aspects. On tax aspects, it's opening the window to lots of risk. And you were mentioning the word risk mitigations. This is something to take seriously care, because many companies will be surprised when they are considered, for example, a permanent establishment in another company, and from one day to the other, they suddenly need to comply with accountancy, with taxation. So that's a real issue. Yeah.
So risk assessment and communication of that to clients is part of that's job number one.
Yeah, that's job number one. Companies are responsible in a number of topics, but are responsible for the location of their employees and where the work is done from. And that location brings implications in labor and social security. So this is something that companies forget, but they have to contribute to the social security to the country where the employee is working from. And that requires that the company is registered as an employer. Sometimes employment without establishment is possible in some countries, depending on whether the employer of record is a legate figure or some other ways to do it. But in many other cases, the company needs to register themselves, and that is exposing them to tax obligations.
So you're dealing with tax, social security, immigration, financing. So who is your client?
My client is basically companies that are moving temporary employees abroad, whether that is within the European Union, that is to the Americas, or that is to Africa, which is the new frontier. Typically, companies focus on their operations, on their business, and that's very natural, that's very fine. But they need to understand that they need to comply. And sometimes this is difficult because you need to navigate with two legislations, with taxations in two different countries. You need to observe the legal regulations. That sometimes is difficult, and this is what we exactly do.
So we're talking with Jordi Roca. As you could tell, he's an expert in this. And as we come to a close here, I would like to recommend that we do another broadcast and we bring in some of your multi-country partners, members, sure. And we do a Zoom based upon pre-agreed topics. And I'll be glad to organize that as part of a PR effort to get your messages out. So once again, Jordi, thank you for being my special guest today on this very technical but really important topic as the economies open up again as a result of the pandemic, and people are getting ready to travel. They're already traveling, but a lot of people have been holding back. Some have been out there traveling already. And I'm looking to get back into doing a live meeting. But you know what? I've become so comfortable using Zoom and effective in bringing people together in a networking by this. Once people are comfortable, they open up. And so bringing people from across silos, not just from across borders and from across time and space, to come together. So I'm focusing in on doing a hybrid. I'm calling it a VIP meeting, which means, sure, it's executives, VIP, but what it really means to me now is virtual in-person. Same thing.
Okay.
So I'm setting up a tour, a European conference tour with just a few stops, but doing it live in these few places with some people in the audience, and then everyone will be on Zoom as well. And so we're doing that because some people might want to come and speak to our audience in London or Milan, even though they're in Barcelona or in Warsaw. Or some other place. So I'll let you know. I want to invite you to consider being a part of that when I launch it. It hasn't been launched yet, but I'm getting ready. Jordi, as we come to a close, you were just at the Euro. I wish I had signed up 2 years ago, but I didn't. And so I've just been delighted to look at all the pictures and hear all the glowing reports about how wonderful the experience was for so many people.
Yeah, people wanted to do it. People wanted to join back, to be in person in this case. We all have been adapted, and we're all comfortable talking virtually, but this personal touch that can only be done in person, that was very special. That was very expected and demanded. And it was fantastic. People was in the mood of we're back on track. We're happy to see you again. And that was a very special atmosphere at the event.
Jordi Roca, thank you again for being on Global TV Talk Show. I very much enjoyed meeting you, and I invite you to come back.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, this is Ed signing off from San Diego, California, and Jordi in Barcelona, Catalonia. What do you think? Is that going to happen?
Let's say Barcelona and Catalonia are part of Spain, and we just need to work to make that comfortable for everyone.
Yeah, including the Madrid people, right?
Including the Madrid people.
Yeah, who knows? Okay, thank you. I would hope that we could do this again soon. I've very much enjoyed this time, and I learned a lot.
I'll be completely open to that possibility. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Ciao.